welcome back to Second Take Movies Podcast, where we give movies a second look, second chance, a second take, if you will. I'm your host, Preston Jenkinson, and joining me is my co-host, Jake Twido.
Yo, man. Not even going to try and talk in reverse like I was going to.
Yeah.
The only thing I can do is, it's your flipping
It's your flipping if you're playing it.
Put your thing down, was. Flip it, and reverse it. Missy Elliott. Woo!
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Tenet.
All you Gen Z people, you know who that is.
Yeah, if it's worth it, you better work it, man. You know?
This is, I was about to say it's a fun movie, but no, it's a...
It hurts. Hurts my head.
Yeah. When you try to think about it a little too much, it kind of gets you. But
it's hilarious. You think you have a grasp, and then the next scene's like, whoa,
what?
Wait. Then it goes, whoa.
I've got some talking points before we start talking about the movie when we get started off here. But first, we're going to talk about the story. Armed with only one word, Tenet, and fighting for survival of the entire world, a protagonist journeys through a twilight world of international espionage on a mission that will unfold in something beyond real time.
Whoever wrote that thing knew what they were doing, because there's so many plot words in there.
Yeah.
You know, the protagonist, Twilight World.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 10 out of 10. They deserve a raise.
That was pretty good. The positive review from Robbie Collin at The Telegraph, who gave this a 100 on Metacritic. The depth, subtlety, and wit of Pattinson and Debicki's performances only becomes fully apparent once you know where Tenet is going, or perhaps that should be where it's been. Still confused? Don't be. Or rather, do be, and savor it. This is a film that will cause many to throw up their hands in bamboozlement, and many more, I hope, to clasp their hands in awe and delight.
Yeah, I remember people hating this.
Yeah, there was so much, and that's kind of what I want to talk about when we get started, but like there was so much hate. Because I looked up like videos this week talking about Tenet, and there's like a good 50-50 all over the internet. The negative, Catherine Shord from The Guardian. There's something grating about a film which insists on detailing its pseudoscience while also conceding you probably won't have followed a thing. We're clobbered with plot, then comforted with tea towel homilies about how what's happened has happened.
I don't think that's a negative thing. That's just the movie.
Yeah. That's the worst thing.
I guess, yeah, you don't like the movie. That's short.
But the first thing, like, this movie it's about a concept and not its characters.
Oh yeah, characters. The main character doesn't have a name. Most character we feel for in this movie is Elizabeth Debicki's character. Ah man, I felt for Neil more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, you're right though. Yeah.
What was her name?
Kat.
Kat. Yeah. You feel like I feel she has the most emotional baggage and stakes in this whole thing. It's not one you can. It's not a movie you can pick up the first time you watch it.
Mm-mm.
It's like
I remember watching this the first time, and then a week later, I was like, I have to rewatch this.
Yeah. Like, I saw this in the theater, and I was like, ooh, I know I'm going to buy this because I'm going to watch this, like...
Lucky.
10, 12 times.
I didn't get to see this in the theater. This was a COVID movie for me, so...
There was... I think it was September of... I think it was September 2020. And there weren't a lot of showings around...
Yeah, I couldn't...
Around Columbia. There wasn't a lot to... I was lucky to get one in on a Friday afternoon somewhere.
I wanted to see this so bad in the theaters, but nope. Purchased on YouTube. Yeah. That's it.
And Nolan's the only one that could get a budget for something like this.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think this cost, what, $250 million?
205 was the production budget.
Jeez. That doesn't even count marketing.
No, just production. Which marketing, I don't know if this was marketed crazy. Was it?
It was. It went through like 2 or 3
just don't
marketing.
remember.
It kept getting put off because it went through like 2 or 3 marketing cycles. This one opens up with a siege and opera. Some kind of terrorists or bad people have run in and hit some musicians and taken over an opera.
This movie starts and it's just like a punch in the balls.
It's so
what is
awesome.
happening? Yeah. The score is like the first movie that Hans Zimmer hasn't done with him in a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. It was Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, Black Panther boy.
He's the new guy on the block. Well, not new guy. I mean, he did
He's
the
doing
music.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I mean, he did music for. He made the Mandalorian theme.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He did Black Panther. He did Community way back when.
Oh,
that's the first time I ever heard of him was when he did music for Community.
I didn't realize that even, but that makes sense.
Produced for Childish Gambino forever.
I knew that one, but that explains how okay. Everything's aligning now.
Oh yeah.
And I will say the crazy thing with this was the score wasn't done when COVID hit. So a lot of that they couldn't record in an orchestra, so a lot of the pieces were done in people's houses and then mixed. So it was like one of the first movies that really did split stuff like that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that opera's house though.
There was I think there was a piece of music in this that Hans Zimmer reportedly did overnight or over a weekend because he was working on Dune, so that's why he couldn't do this. I think
love
it was
all
that
the people that are like Christopher Nolan hates Hans now because he picked Dune over him. Like, I don't think that's the case. Like,
Dune
that
came up first.
His pet project. Yeah, and Hans Zimmer's always been like, if Dune ever happens, I want to do it. That's my dream.
Yeah. But they're looking for. Well, the CIA is going off. Apparently, they knew this attack was going to happen, so they're infiltrating off the back of Russian authorities because I think this is in Kiev. No, Ukrainian authorities because these are Russians that are attacking because we're in Kiev.
Yeah, we're in
And they pick the patch of which department they're going to masquerade as to look for who they're picking up.
It's crazy. My only complaint, that's not my complaint. What does the protagonist what is his job? Is he just a secret agent?
He's just in the CIA. I mean, that's.
But this guy knows too much.
Yeah, you don't need much more than that. He's in the CIA. Yeah. You barely know anything about this guy.
Yeah, you know nothing, and you never find anything out either, almost.
And you don't really care, honestly.
Nope.
Again, because the movie is not about him. It's almost like about everyone else around him and this new concept. But they, his contact that he was there to pick up, which I think was posing as a buyer for Kenneth Branagh's character because he's trying to sell off a piece of what we think is plutonium or something, but it's actually part of this algorithm that's going to destroy time or can destroy time or
destroy everything. Everything.
It's not fully understood what it does. It's part of several other pieces that when combined could but we don't know that yet.
No.
So they get him out of there, sub him out with one of their own guys, and then they stop these bombs from going off. Or they try to, the Rush. I guess it's Russians that are infiltrated in this thing too. I don't know. They're setting bombs.
It's I think it's honestly the villains guys.
Yeah.
So
they've also infiltrated the police as well. I think.
Yeah.
Is what it seemed like to me.
Sator, Sador, whatever. Can't remember how to pronounce it.
Yeah, Sator.
He's a Russian oligarch. He's got too much money.
And so John David Washington is trying to stop these bombs from going off, and they were like, "Oh, it's not part of our mission." Well, it is now. And he gets stopped by one of the Russian terrorists, and then all of a sudden we see this bullet hole start to shake from all the broken stuff around it, and then a bullet comes out of it and through that guy and back into a gun of a guy with a blacked out gas mask on.
So I knew nothing about this movie. I purposely looked nothing up. This is one of the first movies I ever did this with. So at this point, I was lost. It was like, what am I watching? What is this? What just happened?
Oh, so the first time you watched it, you didn't see any of the trailers or anything?
No.
Wow, lucky.
Yeah. It was actually no, I saw one clip, but I thought it was someone doing like a joke thing. Him in the gun range in a minute where he catches the bullet.
Mm.
I thought it was just someone doing fun footage, not that's the movie. But yeah, so I mean, the first time I watched this, it was like, what happened? What just happened? What is going on?
Yeah, if you hadn't seen any of the promotional stuff, you'd definitely be like,
all I knew is you
what?
can spell Tenet backwards and forwards.
That was on purpose.
Yeah. That's all I knew. And I went, there's going to be time travel. It's going to be like Memento. And there's going to be both, backwards and forwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I took from it.
So he gets back into the van, and the Russians betray him. And they kill his team. And he goes to take a suicide pill. And the Russians, the Russians find his suicide pill.
Yeah.
And toss it away. And then they're torching him in a train yard. And then one of his crew that's not yet dead has his in his hand, and he falls over. And we get our flash up title of Tenet with what we think is the protagonist dying in a train yard.
This guy doesn't die a lot in this movie.
Yep.
I don't understand that, but I don't care. I'm on board with it. But yeah. I think he does this 4 times. 3.
There's this part, and then I can't think of, because he doesn't get shot.
There's this one. He has he gets hypothermia from a gas explosion in the car.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And there's one more some other time that I'm blanking on. Yeah. So you find out that this was all a test, apparently.
Yeah.
Which, knowing the end of the movie, I don't.
Knowing the end of the movie, it's just a way for him to recruit himself into Tenet.
Yeah. But again, like you said, you think too much. This hurts. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I like thinking about the physics of time travel and stuff. Of like, the parallel theory and then all this stuff. No, there's none of that here. It's just there.
This one deals with the kind of time travel is what has happened will happen. There's nothing you can do to change what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because this whole movie, they talk about a temporal pincer later on in this movie. That's what this whole movie is. Like, he goes forward and then he goes back to meet himself at the end from the beginning. If that makes sense. So
yeah, it does, but
he wakes up in probably the worst place to have a hospital bed on a ship in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Just with waves rocking up and down after you've been poisoned and had your mouth reconstructed with surgery.
Yeah, lost your teeth because they pulled them out.
Yeah.
So he's recruited by Tenet.
Mm-hmm. It's a guy in a suit.
Never see him again.
Yeah. All I can give you is a word with a gesture, and it's 2 interlocking fingers, and you gotta say the word Tenet. You don't know what kind of doors they'll open.
Didn't you want him to do? I can't do the the little middle finger thing.
No,
where there's one coming up and one. Yeah.
About that thing.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. This is a really good audio podcast. Oh yeah. Or like go. Hoo, 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 hoo. There's your gesture. But yeah, he goes and talks to the scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Which she's like, we don't talk about anything. Then they immediately start talking. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right,
he's like, well,
you
she
liar.
says you can't tell me about what you do,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, I need to know what's going on to do what I do. You have to explain this to me, and we have an audience over here behind this camera that we need to explain it to.
Yeah. Please talk. So
And
then you get the inverted entropy.
mm,
So things can move backwards through time,
yep,
but they have to be triggered.
like the example they give at the beginning is like he caught a bullet that was moving backwards through time. But any way you run the camera, it makes it look like you run the camera forward, it makes it look like he dropped it there. And
Yeah.
it's
And the bullet would have
be-
stayed if he didn't catch it.
yeah, and the best line to kind of explain all this is like you can't. It's not something that you can learn. It's something you just feel it and you just go with it, and which is like a thing to the audience. Like, just
You're not going to learn this. You're just going to watch this and deal
you're just
with it.
along for the ride. Just hold on tight.
So he's questioning her. She's got all these bullets they have came out of a rock, which no,
I'm
they never explain
100.
the
I'm
rock.
100% that rock comes out of that battle at the end of the movie.
That's what I was gonna say too. Is it's got to be from that because there's a scene later. I tried to pause it and see if the shape matched, but that was too tough. But I mean, knowing Christopher Nolan, yeah, there's probably that exact thing somewhere.
As like the attention to detail that he has, like I'm pretty sure that's what that's from.
So she says, "God, how does this all work?" He goes somewhere, but figures out that Singh is the arms dealer.
Well, she
right?
says that he finds out that they were purchased they were Indian made, so he knows that anybody that gets anything from India is going to go through Sanjay Singh.
Yep, and he's a recluse and
Yeah.
stays pretty much in his tower.
Which
that's when you
everybody
also-
seems to know where his tower is. That seems like
Yeah.
it seems like terrible security. But anyway,
Oh yeah, that's his place. But that is where you get the Neil introduction, where he needs help or needs someone local. I guess I didn't realize it until this one, but you can tell right away the guy knows everything.
yeah,
'Cause
it's
he makes
a
comments
real
of like, "Are you gonna go bungee jumping?"
Well, he makes like a comment. He's like, the waiter asks for drinks, and he's like, I'll have a vodka tonic, and he's gonna have a Diet Coke. And he's like, oh, you're well informed. He's like, oh, you don't drink when you're working, and it's like, ugh. So it's kind of like a hint. Like Neil knows a little bit more than he's letting on.
That entire it's like there's not any action or anything since there, so it's just a lot of exposition. I'm still in. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I'm still in it. I'm like, this is crazy. What is happening? All these people are talking words I don't understand.
It's great.
Then that entire like escape into the tower. I guess that's the right way to say it.
Well, it's like a infiltration, we'll call it.
I told Logan, I was like, man, Christopher Nolan's original movies. So Batman, that counts, but I don't count that.
That's a pre-existing property.
Yeah, Dunkirk, that counts, but
Yeah.
that's a historical thing. Oppenheimer doesn't count. It's his
Based on a
own
book.
original concepts. I swear the dude's probably the best in the game.
The Prestige was based on a book, but
Yeah,
very lightly.
forgot about that. But I mean, Interstellar,
Memento.
Inception, Memento. Who thinks of this crap? It kind of makes sense. Like Interstellar. What?
Honestly, I think his brother is the better writer of the two.
I think his brother's the better writer, but he's the better director.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
he knows how to make a movie, but his brother knows how to write it.
Because his brother wrote the. Actually, Memento's not even his original idea. It was based off his brother's short story that he wrote.
Yeah.
But he
I'm drawing a blank on his brother's name. Jonathan.
Jonathan. He was one of the creators of Westworld. Him and his wife created Westworld for HBO.
I forgot that completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Westworld, and I'm really excited. He's writing
also
and producing, creating the Fallout TV show on Amazon.
Yeah, he loves video games.
Dude, that Fallout's one of my favorite games. I mean, I've legitimately got a deck of cards from the game here. I've got poker chips. Walter Goggins is in it.
Walton Goggins?
Walton, not Walter. Thank you.
Wally
It's going to be so good. But yeah, Memento Mori. Memento Mori is the short story. Yeah,
it's free online. Like you can find it anywhere and read it.
But I don't know. I'm in a good headspace right now because I'm going to go see Oppenheimer tomorrow. So I'm on board the choo-choo Nolan train. I just don't think there's any original ideas. And like, I don't know, a lot of movies are remakes, a lot of movies are whatever. Then you got Christopher Nolan that's like, hey, you're going to sit down, you're going to be really confused. You're still going to like this probably.
But the thing is that he's proven himself as such a good director. That's why his stuff gets greenlit. That's the real problem is Hollywood is that they're not going to greenlight a lot of original ideas.
But they greenlit Barbie, which I'm also going to see this weekend.
Well, that's based on a toy.
True.
You know, it's like
it's a given win.
I'm talking about something that somebody had a story and then they wrote down, and
this dude created
totally their idea.
I guess when you create a world, this entire I don't know, like Interstellar, because of what he did, they redid what black holes look like in real life. Like,
well, what the VFX guys did was take those equations that these astronomers had, plugged them into a machine, and that's what it spat out.
It's crazy. I don't think there's anything like that with this movie.
No,
because they didn't use CGI as much. They just bought planes
a
and
little
crashed
bit,
them.
a little bit more, but
I think this was his least VFX movie.
Well, Oppenheimer is now because there's none in that.
Oh, man, I'm gonna crap my pants. I'm so mad I'm not seeing it on the big.
I
tried to buy tickets, but I can't. There's nowhere. They're all sold out. It's gonna be gone by the time I can do it.
I want to see that, but it's like I don't want to be depressed in the theater. You know?
Dude, I'm ready. I'm ready to just cry and
it's
die.
It's like 3 hours. It's like I'll wait to watch that at home.
Yeah, I'm not looking for. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to it. But
yeah, it's like it's sad. But anyway,
just like how the protagonist was not looking forward to going bungee jumping.
Yeah,
so he gets back up in there, and then you get the nice spin of the guy he's looking for is a front. It's his wife.
Mm-hmm.
His wife does everything.
Is the one who is selling the ammunition. She is buying the ammunition, and we find out that somehow Sator can communicate with the future somehow. We don't 100% yet know that.
She's a part of Tenet, too.
Yeah, she's like, that would violate the tenets he lives by, and he's like, well, if tenets are important, it's be like, fucking, are you Tenet? Like,
yo, bro,
because I would not catch that in a conversation. I'd be like, oh,
that's this weirdo doing. Paper?
Yeah. So she says that she sold the ammunition to Sator, but he has found some way to reverse them. And that technically that technology hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah.
But he found a way to build his own turnstile, which is what we find out is what changes the flow of time through different things that was created in the future.
I'll save it for later. I've got comments and questions, thoughts.
So they bungee jump out her house.
Yep, and they're going to have to go try and talk to his wife.
Yes.
His estranged wife, Kat Boughton.
Because the reason they're estranged that we find out from Sir Michael Caine, who plays a British knight. Somehow he's in British intelligence.
Deja, all my friends.
And he sounds like ush. And I love this little idea, like these little things that he puts in the movie, that this protagonist is out of his depth with like billionaires and millionaires and how they. I mean, he's like real cool and everything, but like the guy points out like you're wearing Brooks Brothers suit, my guy.
Oh, it's
like,
awesome. Michael Caine, they gave him his scenes to read. They didn't tell him what the movie was about. They didn't tell him the name of the movie. They didn't say anything. They just said, "You have a scene with this person. Here's what you're doing." And so he did press junkets, and he's like, "I have no idea what this is about.
I don't know.
Christopher's a good boy."
Yeah. You're going to be in a restaurant across from Denzel Washington's son. Here's what you need to say.
Yeah, that whole scene's great, too. That's one thing, like, Christopher Nolan, he has his characters that he always uses. They're people.
Yeah.
Michael Caine, I don't know, it's just a happy, like, it's Michael Caine.
Well, I think he only started working with him during, like, Batman. The Dark Knight trilogy. So
Yeah, but since
then, he's been in almost all of them.
All of them, yeah.
In some way or another.
Yeah, small or eating lunch, whatever.
Or a major character like in The Prestige.
Yeah. I need to watch that again, man.
That's one of my favorite movies.
It's one of my favorite, but I absolutely hate knowing the twist watching it now.
Oh, no, it adds to it.
It makes it just as good, but the shock and surprise is gone.
Yeah.
So.
But like you still pick up on small details.
Yeah.
At the end of that movie. But anyway, we're talking about this movie.
So yeah, he's gonna go talk to her, but what they find out is her husband gave her a Goya.
She gave he bought one from a guy that she suggested, and she knew that it was a forgery.
Yeah, there we go.
And he's all up in his feelings about it, and is
blackmailing her
for
that whole thing. That was the most. Forget the time travel. That was the most insane part of this entire movie.
I was like, that's weird. Like, I know this guy can be. I mean, there's probably crazy rich people out there like that, but that's a bit much, Christopher. Like, that's a painting. Like, okay, it's a forgery. What's gonna happen to her? Like, what are you going to do? I don't understand.
So, J.D. Washington has the same forgery.
Mm-hmm.
He gets her to appraise it, which catches her eye. They have a dinner. You have a crazy scene of a kitchen fight.
Oh, that's a great scene. Like that's a great fight. I've never seen a cheese grater used in a fight before. That's pretty awesome.
I don't ever want to see it again.
Nope, because I can just imagine that it doesn't show much, but just that imagery of just
oh, dude, I caught my hand on a great cheese grater 2 years ago. No, we're good. I don't want to see that movie ever.
I've caught my knuckles every once in a while. I can't imagine the whole thing, but
it was intense. But I can't remember how.
But there's another, like, in that conversation, there's another detail about how he's out of his depth, because she was like, "Oh, he spent like $9 million on the vacation we just went on." He's like, "Where'd you go?"
And he's like, "Where'd you go, Mars?"
And then she's like, "Oh, you're out of your depth, my guy. Like, you don't know what you're doing."
I'm trying to. Okay, yeah. So they talk.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it's there or
later. In that conversation, she explains that he's keeping that painting. So he's going to help her by getting the painting, which will eliminate the blackmail that Sater has on her. So they plan, after he leaves that meeting, him and Neil plan a heist of this business that he owns that keeps rich people's art at the airport so they don't have to pay taxes on importing it.
Yep.
And so they plan to infiltrate that, which leads to another pretty exciting set piece.
Yeah, I think that's the set piece of the movie.
Yeah.
Just because, so, I love the prep work of them doing breathing exercises to hold their breath and the fire suppression stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, it's great. This movie does time very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, time, at points, time is time.
Christopher Nolan is like a very big stickler. Like, if you have a clock ticking down in a movie, you can go back to any of his movies. Like, go back to Inception, go back to The Dark Knight. When they say that there's a time limit, you can time it out, and then, like, what happens is exactly in that time limit.
Um, they hit in there. I'm trying to remember when the plane actually happens, but I just love
That's what
the detail.
that's they plan that out with this guy because that's the way they're going to
Yeah.
set off the fire alarm. Is
Just crash a plane.
They hired these two guys to crash a plane that Christopher Nolan said was cheaper than doing VFX with a plane.
Could you imagine being the VFX artist that's like, "Hey, Mr. Nolan, it's going to be $10 million to do the VFX for this," and he goes, "I'll buy a plane for $1 million and crash it myself for 500 more thousand."
I can buy this old busted junker and repaint it for like $1 million or $2 million and then run it into a hangar.
Dude, I absolutely love that, and it looks great. Apart from one thing, and I don't know if you caught it, the left wing, it just blows up right before it touches. But I don't care. It looked great. It was real fire. I'm into it.
It's real fire with people running around it. Who cares?
God, knowing that's real, I don't know. It just heightens things, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like Tom Cruise doing his own stunts.
Yeah.
It's not that there's stakes, but it's like, whoa. Yeah,
when you see his character on screen doing something, you can rest assured that's probably like 95% probably Tom Cruise. Unless it's something that the studio just absolutely won't let him do.
Yeah. So they get in through the suppression systems by holding their breaths. They're going further and further inside of this Pentagon structure.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know it's at the center, and that's what they're assuming they're going to find what they need. And that's when you get the first turnstile scene.
And we also learn for the first time that people their entropy can be reversed, and they can be moved in reverse.
Well, again, first time watching this, I paused it.
And that guy, those like two guys that you think just pop out of there.
Oh man, it hurt my head so hard. And the audio, the sound effects are so good when he's fighting. Spoiler alert: he's fighting himself.
Yeah, in reverse.
I mean, like, it is flawless of just the way they jerk, the way they move. It's so trippy though. It makes me feel sick watching it.
And that gun at the beginning, it like floats into his hand, and then the slide rack gets attached to it, and then he's sucking like the bullets out of the thing. And like when they walk in there and they see the bullet holes, and he's like, "What happened here?" It's like, "Hasn't happened yet." It's like, what?
I gotta skip back. By the way, the best line in the movie, I skipped over it. I just looked at it in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Kitchen scene when he walks back there and goes, "I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago." Improvised that line, dude.
I believe it. Yeah.
Which I feel like Christopher Nolan's not an improviser.
No.
So
I'd be scared to improvise on his set.
Yeah. But yeah. So back to like, it hasn't happened yet. And I remember the first time I watched this. So he's got his own fight happening, which is bonkers.
Uh-huh.
And then it kind of goes over to what Neil's doing. Neil rips the guy's mask off and is just shocked, throws it back and runs away. And I'm like, all right, this either Neil's evil or something else is happening. But I don't know. It's just wild. You come back here later. So
when I first saw the movie, I was like, that's a weird reaction. Is that him? I thought it was Neil in the thing.
I was sure this movie was going to end by the protagonist meeting himself, and then things go insane and black hole.
Apparently, like, you can kill yourself that way. We learned from Aaron Taylor Johnson's character who shows up later. So yeah, they fight them. He fights himself, and then they get out of there, and they don't get the painting. Long story short.
Yeah, but they lie to her and tell her they did.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was hilarious. I just thought it was the most funny thing. Just
and then we got it. The protagonist explains to Neil what is kind of going on, and he's like, "I need just to you. This is about plutonium and nuclear weapons, and that's all you need to know." He's like, so I'm going back to Priya to learn some more information, and he finds out from her that where are they, in Italy?
Yeah, it's got to be Italy.
or Romania. I can't remember where it was. Italy, because she talks about going to Pompeii or something with her son.
Yeah. And they he's like, just set me up a meeting with your husband.
Mm.
And so he gets the dinner invite.
Mm-hmm.
No, he runs into her. They walk to the boat, and he drops her off.
Yeah.
And that's actually a lot. That's the only other scene I've seen, or I saw before the movie.
Gotcha.
Is him driving that boat. And I'm like, oh, this is great. They're driving boats.
Christopher Nolan spy movie.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be James Bond all the way. Could you imagine if Christopher Nolan directed James Bond?
He's wanted to. But I don't think they would do any crazy idea that he had. So
yeah,
he made this instead.
So he gets invited to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy, not the greatest, but just like, we're going to kill you. We're going to take you in the street, and I'm going to slice your neck straight down. I'm going to shove your balls.
Cut your neck and cut your balls off and put them down your throat till you quit breathing. Wow.
Yeah, but then I just immediately love, do you like opera? Come to my boat. Just like, then they go out on the, what are those called?
And this is, it's some kind of crazy rich people sailing boat.
Sail GP boats.
This is my one big criticism. You can't understand what anyone is saying.
No.
There's a couple of scenes like that in this. He says he does that on purpose, Christopher Nolan, and I'm like, what's the purpose? Why would you do
that on purpose, though?
I need to know what's happening. At least remix it somehow.
And I feel like it
feels like it's at the bottom of the mix, and like the music and sound is above all that.
And I don't know if it's him trying to be cheeky and is like, it doesn't matter what they're saying. Just watch what's happening.
That's kind of what he said in interviews. Is like, but it's like, we need to know, like, this is complicated enough, Chris. Like,
yeah. Give me a cheat sheet if that's the case then, okay?
But basically what happens, if you turn on subtitles, you can figure out that the protagonist is posing as like a
senator.
Well, not a senator, but like because Sater already saw through that. So he's like, all right, what I'm really here for is I want to get my hands on this like plutonium or
241.
And it's the one that the Ukrainians picked up at the beginning of the movie, and they're going to be transporting it. And so he hires the protagonist to pick that up. And we also learned some more about Sater, like the way he got in contact with he tells him how he got in contact with the future. Like, he was part of some of these cities. Was it after the Cold War? After the Soviet Union disbanded, they sent people in to clean stuff up because they were very irradiated and stuff like that.
And no one wanted it.
Yeah, and he found a time capsule full of gold and a note.
And immediately killed the guy in front of him, too.
Yeah. Killed the guy that was working with him. And somehow he's been in contact with the future that way, like burying time capsules. And I don't know how they would send stuff back in the past, but anyway. Too bad.
I don't want to.
Don't think about it.
So they agree after he saves his life because his wife tries to kill him, cuts him loose on the catamaran. He gets his trust and like immediately loses it because he spies on him and he gets caught. But what you do see is part of the algorithm from the opera gets delivered.
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened? Yeah. So I'm trying to remember where to get lost on this boat. So he gets caught here. Doesn't he die here and then get picked up?
No, he doesn't die. No, he's like, you're still going to go steal that for me.
That's right. Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to pay for it. And he tosses him a thing of gold and says, the satyr kills some other guy.
And tosses him the bloodied gold. That's right. Yeah. So they go do this heist, which is
which
dope,
is and that
and it
I'm
gets
probably going to
crazier.
put it in right here, like the scene in the video. I'm probably going to put that in right here where that music kicks in and it's like.
Okay, then. Coming to you.
Транспорт на месте.
Watch everything. Give me all the details.
Everyone set? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh. And it's perfect. He's like, I need this, and a fire truck.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to drive a fire truck too, man. Cool.
Well, what is? I've been an 8-year-old boy. It's big, red, loud.
Yeah, look, man. Let me tell you, I've climbed onto one of those ladders before. I've broken.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't break it. It was open. I walked in. But yeah, you do it, man. I used to live right next to the fire department in Kershaw.
Oh yeah. Well,
It was
Kershaw. Yeah, I'm
great.
sure you could get away with that.
Yeah, it was terrible. I got caught, but I was little, so it was all right.
Yeah.
But that scene, that's how you build a scene, and it's like
Uh-huh.
you see it once. It's insane. They do the heist. Everything's great, and then crazy starts happening. Cars are coming in reversed. It's wild.
A car that was on its roof tumbles over and starts going in reverse. And this is the part of the movie where you're really like, okay, what?
Yeah, this. Oh god, yeah, it gets wild. I can still
'Cause-
follow stuff here.
What we learn is that Sater is running what is later called a temporal pincer movement, where he has a crew of guys going forward through time to see what happens, and then he goes through it in reverse with the
And listen
information that he got
Yeah.
from them.
He's got a recorder where a guy says everything that's about to happen exactly how it was. So he's listening through the recorder when he's coming back through
Yeah,
and can copy it.
yeah, and then he thinks he gets what he wants in the orange case. He thinks he gets the piece of the algorithm, and then he gets out of that car, and the protagonist and Neil have to stop that, and then he shows up again at the end, and then Neil calls in the cavalry, and the protagonist gets kidnapped by Sater's men, and then we get one of the most confusing interrogation scenes I've ever seen in my life. It's very hard to explain.
Yeah, he's talking.
The Sater is interrogating him with information he already has, and then because he's on one side where he's going in reverse, and the protagonist is moving forward, and he's talking to him through this translator thing, and he already has the information he needs, and then his past self comes in and going
Shoots his
forward
wife.
to get the information,
Yeah.
and then shoots. It's very
And this is also when it's just like, all right, so Neil knows a lot more than we thought. Because he has a team. He's like, who are you talking about? And then all these guys come in, and you get the I don't know the guy's name, the other lead guy. There's three
Aaron
of them
Taylor,
in the end.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, who will be playing Craven at some point.
That was Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it, man.
Did you not know he was British?
No, I did. It just didn't look like him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's him. We had a beard.
Yeah.
And he plays Mr. Military Man. And so our protagonist has this bright idea that he's going to go through the whole thing in reverse now. And there's a huge turnstile in this warehouse that they're in. So he goes through that. Well, actually, they figure out that they can heal Kat by putting her in reverse. Because she was shot with an inverted round.
This sucker, I mean, this gets bat crap crazy here. Because they just go into a daggum storage container that apparently is just there.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, everything's going. Yeah.
And so when you go in reverse, you have to wear an oxygen mask because you're breathing backwards.
Yep.
And so you have to breathe backwards, forward air because you're going anyway. But yeah, go. What were you about to say?
Probably one of my favorite shots is coming up after this. They get on a boat, and it's going backwards, and just watching the birds.
Oh,
the
yeah.
waves, it's just hypnotic. It's like, this is wild. I don't care about anything. I could just watch this movie.
Yeah, but the scene, and we find out that it was him in that car that was flipped upside down that we saw.
Yeah.
But like that scene where he walks out of that warehouse and he's like that thing with the puddle, and where he steps and it's in reverse and it doesn't splash, and
or when he burns the tires out in the car. Yeah.
Because he's trying to drive it forward, but it's bonkers. And we get a quick rundown of the rules from Aaron Taylor Johnson to some of the soldiers that basically the backwards air and don't come into contact with yourself.
So they go from here. They need to bring her back, but they have to get right weighed as well. Mm-hmm. And they're gonna. So they're we need to go to Oslo.
They're moving in reverse. They're in the backwards flow of time right now, and they're doing that so that they can heal her bullet wound with time. Because if you keep going backwards, eventually your wound will heal. And we get a clue that it was him in the hangar because he starts to develop this stab wound. Yeah, and he starts bleeding, and so we figure out that it was him that he was fighting in reverse at the airport.
It's a cheap trick, but it works out well. We're going to play the exact same scene again, just from a different angle.
Yep, and a different perspective.
Flawless. I was like, yeah, this is how you do it, man.
And then so they forwards themselves in the tiny turnstile in the airport, and now they're back, and Michael Caine's character mentioned something about an explosion at Stas 12 at the beginning of the movie last week. 14th. And so we've officially rewound back to that time, and that's where this huge final battle at the end of the movie takes place, is in Stas 12. So that explosion they did was all of them there as the same day as the opera. What?
Yeah. Again, the more you think about this movie, the worse. Not the worse it gets, the worse it hurts.
Yeah. And we'll kind of fast forward through this battle. Basically, they're doing a pincer movement.
It's trippy. I can't explain it. I can't.
There's no way to. That's why. Yeah.
No. It's great. It looks cool. It's dope.
Basically, at one point, there's two Neils on the battlefield. That's all you need to know. But they set off this explosion to make Sater think he's won so that he'll eventually kill himself, but Kat shoots him on the boat. Oh, she's also, by the way, there's two versions of her out there because this is the same time that they were on that vacation in Vietnam.
Yeah. Her, yeah. Yeah. Oh, no.
Don't think about it too much. Just enjoy the ride.
Yep.
But we set off the explosion, make him think he won, so she can shoot him. He's dead because his heart was. He had a bad heart.
You figure out his real plan is he's gonna die, and because he's gonna die, everyone's gonna die.
Because he can't.
So that's the real problem with the movie.
If he can't have the world, then no one else can either.
Yeah.
Some shit like that.
Yep.
So after they escape this explosion, Aaron Taylor Johnson, the protagonist, and Neil split up the algorithm and agreed to go to their separate parts of the world and kill themselves so that no one knows where the pieces are. And then Neil explains, like, hey, I kind of knew this was all going to happen.
Yeah, and you also get when they're like breaking into the place, the red trinket on the backpack that you see at the opera house.
You see that
somewhere else, and then here, then it starts to click. It's Neil. Like Neil, that's where Neil dies.
And we find out that the protagonist is the one who planned this whole operation. Was a temporal pincer, and he's the one who planned it because you know why? He's the one who founded Tenet in the future. And he explains this is the end of a beautiful friendship, but I'll see you at the beginning.
Yeah, I like. We're gonna get into some stuff, and then just walks away. It's like,
We'll get up to some stuff, and this is where I'd like to pitch a movie.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about this because I would kill to see how did Tenet start.
Let's get Neil's movie. We get his point of view, like not even his point of view of this movie, but like him becoming a part of Tenet. How did that happen?
Dope.
There's theories out there that he's actually. There's theories out there that he's Kat's son, but I don't.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because from here. He gives Kat a phone and says, if you ever need anything, name the location where you're at. That's it. Hang up. You find out that Priya's going to kill her, so he kills her.
Yep.
Because Priya's gone back on her word if she was going to leave, let things be. And the kid walks away, and the dialogue's like, that's the kid that would save everything.
It's the
right?
bomb that doesn't go off or something like
That's
that.
right. Yeah. So
that's the one that
points to
no one talks about is the bomb that doesn't go off. Boy, what a movie.
Yeah, it's pretty daggone great.
Like I said, you got to watch it multiple times to even get like, okay, this is happening. Okay, so what does this mean?
I started the second time I watched it, I was really bored because it was during COVID, so there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
I had a clipboard and I was writing diagrams out, and it looked like I was going insane, man. It was bad, but yeah, it's great. I give this a 9.8.
I give it an 8, a good 8, just for
9.1.
I dock it a couple
8.
points for the audio for me.
The audio and then the villain's goal in the end, stupid. That is a James Bond villain move.
Yeah, like it is it's a very James Bond kind of plot. Like, oh, he's blackmailing his wife because she gave him a forged painting or whatever. But
I'm gonna die, so all of you are gonna die now.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Now we move on to what we watching.
Nothing really, man. It's been a off time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the TV show The Mentalist, one of the last season, so I can be done with it. It's great. It's good. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's just TV.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Battle Bits. I think I said it last week, maybe, and it's fantastic. But I haven't been doing a lot. I'm embracing myself to be depressed beyond misery tomorrow watching Oppenheimer, which I've read the book. I know.
Yeah.
I know this is the first time going into it. I'm like, oh, I know the story, so this is going to be fun to see it happen. But there's a bomb. How about you, man?
I started playing Red Dead Redemption 2 again because of all those rumors of Red Dead Redemption getting a remake. So
I have never played into that game ever.
It's so good.
I need to. I know I need to.
Like, it takes forever, but it's so good.
That's I have a problem with long games right now. Like, I haven't beat Zelda yet. That came out a month ago or whenever.
Well, that thing's got too much to do in it. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, that is the problem. Which and for me, I'm like, I got to do everything, but I just need to beat it and then goof off.
The one Assassin's Creed game that I did not play was Odyssey, and that's because the first time I opened it and looked at the map, I was like,
nope,
I hate this. Finished Silo.
I need to watch that too. I might pick that up
because I
want to get rid of my Apple TV soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too.
I'm
gonna get rid of my Max and HBO before football season because Max has turned into like they put all these Discovery bought them. Now there's all this stupid reality shows and Discovery. Yeah. It's like I'm done.
That's what after I finish The Mentalist, I don't think I really have anything on there of note to watch.
I'll just keep my Netflix and Prime, and I'll probably get like the Hulu and Disney Plus bundle.
Yeah,
because the Max is just terrible now. There's nothing that I want to watch on there.
I'll be a big nerd. There's an anime show that came back that I didn't think was going to come back on. You need a Crunchyroll subscription for it.
Crunchyroll.
So I'm like, I'm going to cancel Max and do that. Just be better. But.
And Secret Invasion, the second to last episode came out today.
I still have only watched this. I'm on episode 2 halfway through.
It's pretty interesting. Like, to me, Loki is still the best of all those series.
Okay.
But Secret Invasion is a close second.
Yeah, I need to. It's kind of like Andor. I haven't watched that yet. I started it.
You need to watch that.
I need to be at a place where I can watch it.
Yeah.
Not like I can focus on it and stuff, and I just hadn't had time. Sucks being an adult.
Yep.
So for all you kids listening, don't grow up.
And speaking of Marvel, that's going to be our next 3 weeks of some Phase 4 movies that people didn't like very much. Two of them I thought were okay. We're doing Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, and then Quantumania.
Yeah, you know what? I'm excited to do this, but I'm not because I don't want to watch Thor again and hate it more.
Yeah. The first time I saw Thor, I was like, "Oh, that's a good movie." And it came out on Disney Plus, and I watched it again. And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Oh. And then Quantumania is Jonathan Majors is worth sitting through that movie.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it because when I saw it in the theaters, we saw it in 3D, which it wasn't intentional, and the 3D was messed up, so everything was blurred. So I couldn't figure out what was happening.
There's nothing worth watching 3D in a movie theater. No. I didn't even know they still did that.
Sadly, they do. I thought it finally disappeared again. Like it
Actually,
should be.
I saw the first Doctor Strange in IMAX 3D.
Ooh, that IMAX 3D would be worth it.
That first Doctor Strange movie was. That was pretty good. But that's it for this week. Next week, like I said, we'll start with Doctor Strange and a Multiverse of Madness, which I think is a really good movie, but other people didn't.
I'm pumped. They're wrong.
Yeah. So if you have a suggestion, you can send that to secondtakemoviespod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Threads at Second Take Movies. That's it. Jake, any last words? Grab your pants. There we go. We'll see you next week with Doctor Strange.